Hi, I want to talk to you today about the Charlotte Mason method. I know some of you use that in your homeschool. We have several resources at schoolhouseteachers.com about the Charlotte Mason homeschool method, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about them today. This is part one. This is who Charlotte Mason was and what she stood for. And then part two is I'm going to show you the lessons that we have on schoolhouseteachers.com. Now, I found this actual class for parents on schoolhouseteachers.com under resources. If I look at just for parents, I'm going to find a Charlotte Mason section, and this is 16 weeks of learning about how to do Charlotte Mason homeschooling. So I'm going to hit a few highlights for you today, but I hope that you'll go in there and read that. And then, like I said, part two is going to be about the classes that we have that deal with Charlotte Mason. Charlotte Mason was a 19th century British educator. She believed education was an atmosphere, not something you do. In fact, a famous saying, she said, education is an atmosphere, a discipline, a life. She thought it should incorporate everything that you do, not just when you sit down to do quote-unquote school. She thought teaching should encourage curiosity and enthusiasm while expecting excellence. She didn't have any children of her own, but she believed all children should receive a good education. Now remember, this was the late 1800s, the early 1900s, when only the rich children received an education. She taught in a few schools, she wrote a few books, and many schools around her heard about what she was doing and her style and wanted to incorporate that. So today we call that the Charlotte Mason method. Now, there are many aspects to this method. The first is living books. Here's a companion book that was written about all of her stuff. Here's another saying that she was very famous for. I am, I can, I ought, and I will. Something she encouraged children to learn. Those were the steps of obedience. Now, the first aspect is living books. These can be historical fiction, biographies of historical figures, scientists, or missionaries. These are the books that have great characters and storylines. They evoke emotion. These are not textbooks which list history and dates, but they are actual stories about lifetimes and peoples and places. They're the kind of books that you and your children do not want to put down. We didn't really do the Charlotte Mason method per se, but we did have reading time that I really enjoyed. Some of the books that we read together were about Corrie ten Boom. We read a biography of Mother Teresa and a biography of Genghis Khan. All kinds of different things, all kinds of different people, and I probably cried reading all of them at some point, mostly the Corrie ten Boom book. But the article on schoolhouseteachers.com has a great list of living books and which ones would be good, and the curriculum companies that offer Charlotte Mason books or reference books. Now, secondly, Charlotte Mason uses short lessons. For elementary, this would mean 10-20 minutes a day for each subject. Older kids would be 40 minutes a day. She encouraged them to not get distracted, to learn in small bursts while the mind is fresh. And if it took more than 15 minutes to do, we got up to do something else. Third, Charlotte Mason incorporates narration. So after a lesson or reading, you would have the child retell what he learned in his own words. For instance, this helps kids focus on the details, makes them listen because they know they're going to have to repeat it. It builds memory. It helps them organize their thoughts. They have to think about in what order they're going to retell. Teaches clear thinking and speaking. So you don't read it a bunch of times. You just read it once. You have them retell it, and they can add their opinions, but you're not allowed to help. The fourth thing is copy work. You give the child a sentence or a passage, and you have them copy it word for word with capitalization and punctuation. This helps handwriting, reinforces grammar and spelling, and the kids are exposed to some excellent writing. These passages could be from the Bible or from poetry, literature. She was very famous for using Shakespeare. This would only be, of course, for 10 or 15 minutes a day. For older kids, this can be typing. If they're good with handwriting, it doesn't have to be handwriting. The fifth thing would be dictation. After the child studies a passage, the parent reads one phrase or sentence at a time and expects the child to write it correctly from memory. Well, another thing, this goes on and on for 16 weeks. It talks about living math. That would be helping the kid move from the concrete to the abstract. Now, this could be using manipulatives, board games, logic puzzles, other practical ways like that, balancing a checkbook, something hands-on to use the Charlotte Mason method. Something else they do is a focus study. You could take a whole week or a day if you wanted to and study an artist. You can study a composer and maybe some of the songs that they wrote, or do a nature study. That's how she taught to do science, was to do a nature study. Direct observation. Go outside. Instead of reading about it in a textbook, take a notebook. Go outside and draw what you observe. There's lots of different things that you can find on the internet about nature study and how to do them. But you want to encourage the kids to use their five senses and write down what they observe, to draw it, to ask questions about it. You can go to the library and get some focused books on certain aspects of nature, especially the ones that you don't have around you. But this is how she wanted you to learn about the world around you. Now, another important factor in the Charlotte Mason method is habit training. This is a book that I read several years ago when my kids were younger. It really impressed upon me the need for habit training. Now, the habit training is work for the kids, but let me tell you, it's work for the parent. The point is that you start habits that your child will continue, like cleaning up after themselves, good organizational skills, and personal hygiene. The principle is that teaching good habits is like laying down railroad tracks. You build the pathways in your child's brain, and then they become automatic. So they don't have to think about which path they're going to go down. The train in their brain already knows which path. So I encourage you to also read this book. It's not written by Charlotte Mason, but it's written by people who compiled her things and the habit training ideas that she had. All right, this is part one, and I'm going to show you part two in a little bit. That's going to be the classes that we have on schoolhouseteachers.com. We have about 40 of them that deal with the Charlotte Mason method.